Yeah, I've just seen it, the most incredible thing ever. My PlayStation literally just spat out the F1 2017 disc, so maybe even the PlayStation knows what a game this is. I'm not going to go any further than that, but yes, let's go back to the action. And as you can now see, I'm not in a party anymore, for goodness sake. I need to get back into a party. Goodness me. Right, apologies for that. We are now back live properly. I didn't want to be shouting out in the lobby where all the drivers can hear me, but when they're trying to focus. But yes, I am now back. And interestingly now, as you can now see, it is Shimasi in the lead. And Chicken, I would feel, I believe, let's have a quick look, has decided to make a second pit stop. And indeed he has. So Chicken, feeling that the two-stop strategy was the only way forward after that early attempt at an undercut. So Chicken then, I don't know what he's trying here. Is he going to try and hunt them back down the remaining 7 laps to get back onto the top of the podium? It's going to be tough, but what's his gap to the leader? 17, 18 seconds. I don't think the remaining 7 laps is going to close that much, so a tall order for Chicken on that 2-stop to win from there. But I think he maybe tried the 1-stop, coming in very early to get track position. I think he realised he was going to get a puncture if he continued at that rate of knots, so maybe, just maybe, it was too little, too late, too much to ask from Chicken. But on the other hand of things, Shimasi was only 4 or 5 laps later than him, so there's every possibility that he could encounter some issues with the tyres, and as could Julian and Pitmat. So we'll keep an eye on Chicken's progress. If he can climb himself up into the top 3, then Pitmat would be under some serious pressure in the championship. He already is, of course, right now losing 10 points as it is to Shimasi. And of course, losing 10 points right now would make the gap 23 points going into the final 2 rounds. If he was to lose a further 3 points, which he might if Chicken gets to him, then he's more than a race win behind Shimasi. So that would be really demoralising for him going into the final 2 races. So you've got to hope here, if you're Pitmat, that Chicken has not got the pace to catch you. And if he does have the pace to catch you, hopefully he has the pace to catch the other 2. But I don't think he does, to be honest. And I think if he is going to catch anyone, it would be Pitmat. So he's going to be quite nervous over the next few laps for the Toro Rosso team, to, whether or not he can stay ahead. But Pitmat at the moment doing a fine job, around 9.7 ahead. But I'm going to have a quick look at penalties, see if I've missed anything as a result. Let's have a little look what we got. Stop goes galore at the start. We've got 3 seconds for JGG. Let's see. What have we got with penalties? We did see the first one I did notice of significance was the one that Chicken got. Where's that? Let's have a look. Jacob's got 1. Time got 1 before he crashed out. There's Chicken's on lap 19. So Chicken got 1. Diego's got 1. Jacob another 1. Yeah, so there's only Chicken of the guys at the front with a penalty at the moment. So it would be a tall order actually for him to catch even Pitmat, I would think, given the fact he's got 3 seconds to add on to his time as well. So Pitmat will be fed that information. He will be aware, his team will make him aware of that. He doesn't need to throw caution to the wind and get himself a penalty, because Chicken has won himself. He still needs to go at a reasonable pace. He doesn't want to be caught too quickly by Chicken, but I do not think he'll catch quick enough. But Shimasi out in the lead of the Grand Prix, looking good to extend the championship lead to 23 World Championship points and move to within touching distance of that World Championship crown. He will get the opportunity to wrap up that title next time out in Brazil if things stay this way. And it's a bit of a shame, a bit of a damn squid really when you look at it, because early on in this championship we had 5 or 6 cars fighting it out around mid-season, and it's just faded a little bit in the closing races. Shimasi raising his game, others fading a little bit. Pitmat did rally mid-season, or in the last couple of races, the last few races, after a mid-season slump, and made it an interesting battle. But at the moment I cannot see anyone other than Shimasi picking up the title unless something dramatic happens in the next 5 or so laps. Shimasi a strong favourite for this world title. 5 to go. He leads the race. Julian in second, Pitmat in third, Chickens in fourth, with Diego Killer in fifth. It's Jacob Stoll in 6th position, the Slovakian driver. And it's OTG in 7th, alone the race behind Lamaro 8th, and Ash at 9th. And as you can see, 1 lap, 2 lap, 3 lap respectively down for OTG, Lamaro and Ash Richardson. And Jacob won't be far away from getting lapped either, I wouldn't have thought. 1 minute and 12 behind the race leader Shimasi. Can't see him behind him yet. I don't think he'll be too far back. There he is, coming down the start finish straight. But yeah, let's time to nominate our drivers of the day. Who do we think could be the driver of the day? You've got to say Julian's been magnificent. He has been, for me, the surprise package this weekend. You've got to say he is the contender for driver of the day. Potentially Shimasi as well, being a good performance. Pit mats came through the field. Let's have a quick look at the position change. There you go. Pit mats up 4 places from the starting position. I think Lamaro and Ash, I don't think we can count them in the position climb with all the DNFs that have happened. They've not really been here. They're 2 and 3 laps down respectively. But if I was to nominate 3 drivers for driver of the day, I would probably nominate Julian. He would be my driver of the day, to be honest with you. I would vote for him. I think Julian, Shimasi and Pitmat. I think the top 3 really. Pitmat's gained 4 places. Pitmat's done a fine job. So the top 3. We've done that quite often in SRL, nominate the top 3, but in this case I think there's no question about that. Chicken's done well, but the fact he's went to 2 stops and kind of dropped out of the contention for the victory has put his hopes to the side of a driver of the day award. But I think Julian, for me, if I was to vote, I would give it to Julian. He's been magnificent. He's still closing down Shimasi with 3 seconds between them with their 4 and a bit laps to go. A real chance here for Julian to try and still get that victory. It's a small opportunity here. There's only a few laps to go, and Shimasi, of course, 2.8 ahead. But you never know. Earlier in the race, there was around this margin between the 2, and Shimasi went off the road, and Julian did not need a second invitation. So Shimasi's got a lot of pressure on him. A world championship at stake. He knows that. So by no means is this done and dusted just yet. Julian's got nothing to lose. Remember, never won a race, and not only that, he's not in a championship battle. He joined mid-season, Julian, so nothing to lose. It's all about next season for him. So he'll be hoping to try and apply some pressure on Shimasi here. My driver of the day, Julian, doing a fine job as they go through that turn 6, and the fans in the grandstand have been soaked here today in Mexico City. And you got to feel for those guys. Absolutely drenched. Yeah, up in one of the highest places on the calendar above sea level, one of the highest city actually on the calendar above sea level, highest Grand Prix circuit on the calendar too by quite some margin. But it is a great venue for Formula 1. The fans love it, and we're about to see these guys up on the podium. It's a great podium. I can't wait to see the 3 of them up there, Shimasi, Julian and Pitmat. I think the podium is just like Monza really. It compares with Monza. The fans get great access to it. And yeah, it would have been really fitting for Shimasi to lift the title here, a bit like Lewis Hamilton did, with all the fans looking down. But unfortunately for him, it's not going to be today. He is going to have to wait another week at least to put that championship to bed. 23 points, remember, between Shimasi and Pitmat as it stands. Chicken closing and closing and closing on Pitmat in the closing moments, but it's irrelevant really, because of course he does also have a 3-second time penalty to his name. So it looks like it's all over in that particular battle for the final podium slot. But yeah, as I was saying, the podium, it's a great place. I can't wait to do the podium interviews, and be sure to stick around for that. But yeah, it's great. A great arena for a podium. Very clever from the FIA to put it in that baseball stadium part of the track. And if the racing isn't at its greatest down in that sequence of the track, at least the people that pay their hard-earned cash get to see the podium and the trophies be presented. So yeah, good to see that as Jacob picks up yet another time penalty this afternoon. So I think it's his 3rd or 4th time penalty now. It's really starting to mount up for him, but all plain sailing for Shimasi. 2.2 the gap. You would feel it's just a little bit too much to ask from Julian. If Shimasi strokes it home from here, he might have Julian on his coattails, but I don't think it would be enough to go past him, and it's looking really, really good for Shimasi now. Julian has put up a fine effort. He is my driver of the day, but unfortunately not today, it would seem. 1.9 the gap now. 2 seconds the gap, 2 laps to go. Can he close a second a lap and cause some late drama? I think it would be very unlikely. But it is Shimasi in the lead on lap 35 out of 36. Julian in second. Pitmat runs alone in third. Or does he run alone? No, he does not. Chicken right behind him. Then a big gap back to Diego Killer, who was in a race long battle with Tyne earlier on before Tyne crashed right here at this final corner. And it ripped the suspension and left front tyre off the chassis. He runs in fifth then. Diego Killer. Then it's Jacob in sixth with all these time penalties. OTG's a lap down, so he won't actually threaten Jacob with those time penalties. OTG 7th of course, and Lamaro 8th, and Ash Richardson at the very back down in 9th. But Jacob not yet been lapped. Can't be far away from being lapped, I wouldn't have thought. I'm surprised we can't see Shimasi appearing in the distance yet as Julian gets the gap down to 1.3 now. So is there a late rally here? It's nearly a second to lap, not quite. Let's have a little look at the telemetry. Lean fuel for Julian, he is positive at long last on that fuel. What about Shimasi? He's got 0.4 left in his pocket, so if he needs it, he will use it. Shimasi, expertly done. Julian's done fantastically. He's pushed him all the way, the Dutch driver, the youngster from the Netherlands, putting in a fine performance. And as I said earlier on, it is the young pretender taking on the championship contender. But at the moment, it's looking all plain sailing for Shimasi. He just needs to stroke it home. No mistakes on this final lap, and his championship lead will climb to 23 points with just 50 available. Pitmat, no, looks like he's held off Chicken's charge. Even though Chicken, of course, had that time penalty, but Pitmat keeping him at bay, keeping him at arm's length pretty well. Solid job. Just didn't really have the pace today to keep with Shimasi and Julian after they cleared Tyne and Diego. He tried to close in on them, Pitmat, but he was just unable to. Didn't have the pace to do it. And unfortunately for Pitmat, it has not worked out today. And he's been, what's going on there? Has Pitmat got a puncture? Oh, I don't believe it! Oh, Pitmat's got a puncture! Unbelievable! Chicken goes past him, and Pitmat, his World Championship, is falling apart here. 23 points the gap between him and Shimasi. It's now going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And can he limp back to the pits and stay ahead of Diego Keller? Unbelievable. Oh, it's like Sebastian Vettel at Silverstone this year. Pitmat's championship falls apart. It's a contrast in emotions down at McLaren. Here comes Shimasi. His championship lead will now stretch to over a race victory. He can win it next week in Brazil. He wins here in Mexico. A strong fight from Julian in second. He will be the driver of the day. A fantastic effort. Chicken will be third, but look at Pitmat struggling back to the final corner. Is he going to keep ahead of Diego Keller, who's coming at them very quickly? I think he might just. Look at him limping home here. What a disaster in the final lap for Pitmat. He's not home and dry yet. Diego Keller is coming, but he won't come quick enough, I don't think. Pitmat limps home in fourth, and costly points lost in the championship battle. Oh no, you'll be furious. 23 point deficit becomes a 26 point deficit. He doesn't pick up a trophy either. He's not in the podium. No champagne. And there you go. Heartbreak for Pitmat at the finish. And Diego Keller now comes home in fifth. And Jacob Stoll will be the last of the men on the lead lap. And it's sixth. OTG's seen the line. Seventh. Ash Richardson's seen the line in ninth. Lamaro yet to see it. We'll wait him. He's in the final corner now. And he comes home in eighth. One lap down. And here comes Jacob now in the Ferrari around the final few corners. His teammates skeeving out very early on. Not quite as early as the two Haas drivers though, who were out on the opening lap. But here comes Jacob around the final corner. He will finish this race, the last of the lead men in the lead lap, in sixth. But it's a disaster for Pitmat at the end there. Almost like Ferrari at Silverstone, as I said moments ago. Quite incredible. And Shimasi's smile will be huge. He'll be delighted with this result. And wait to see the smile he has on the podium. Look at that. Absolutely delighted here in Mexico City. He's on the brink of the World Championship. A 26 point lead. He just has to finish ahead of Pitmat, and the championship is done next week. He celebrates. He knows that the World Championship is almost his. Be sure to join us next week in Brazil at the same time of 8:30 on Friday we find out if Shimasi can be crowned champion, or will Pitmat get himself back in the fight. The podium interviews are on their way, but Shimasi, fantastic performance, he wins the Mexican Grand Prix. Julian comes home in second. My driver of the day, I have to say. Chicken ended up getting that third place despite his penalties after Pitmat had a bit of a disaster on that final lap with a puncture. Diego Kettler brought it home in fifth, and Jacob was sixth, the last man on the lead lap. OTG, a quiet race in seventh. Lamaro was eighth, and I think that was really the last to finish. I think Ash Richardson saw it home in ninth, and that rounds off the Mexican Grand Prix. Stick with us, folks. We've got driver interviews on the way. Well, looks like there's no sign of any drivers, folks. I think they're busy celebrating behind the scenes, so yeah, we cannot get a hold of the drivers for the driver interviews today, unfortunately, but be sure to join us next week for the final race, or sorry, this penultimate race I should say, in Brazil. It's Sao Paulo, Interlagos, round 19 of the championship. A 26-point advantage for Shimasi with 2 races to go, 50 points available. Can he wrap up the world title in Brazil? Be sure to join us for that one. It's been a pleasure here in Mexico City. I've enjoyed it. A fantastic race in damp conditions. We'll see you next week in Brazil.